So I'm making more of these. Kind of an alien landscape. I'm making more rocket stoves. And I got to this point, all the main bodies are cut up with my awesome ancient saw, the Delta horizontal bandsaw. And I realized really one of the next steps is I'm gonna have to de-burr all these edges. And it's a lot of work. And what I have to de-burr is this ancient Ohio Forge 6-inch bench grinder made in Taiwan. That's interesting. Not made in China, but made in Taiwan. I've had this thing for 20 years, 25 years. You can see this is probably, I don't know how many of these wire wheels I've gone through. And the thought of deburring 20 rocket stoves and maybe another 50 mini jibs with this thing got me thinking. It's time for a new grinder. I went to Harbor Freight. There it is, Harbor Freight. And I bought item 94327, the Central Machinery 8-inch grinder buffer. Ball bearing supported shaft for smooth operation. 4.8 amps. 3,600 RPMs. And of course, the thing you must have, the easy on-off switch, which I think is right there. This is just a photograph. All right, let's open this thing up. This was, how much was this? This was a, get my iris, $79, but with the 20% coupon, I think I paid $64, which is a great price. There's a less expensive one. This is the wide, narrow one, the one where the wheels are separated a lot from the body so that you can really get your parts in. I guess that's the idea behind this one. So let's start it up. And I've had this for about maybe 2 years now, and I'd like to see how it runs. Seems to be pretty well balanced. I know when I first took this out of the box and I did this test, this thing walked all over the bench. And what I did then was I tried this trick. All right. Loosen this. Now the right side nut appears to loosen counterclockwise normally, so loosen that up. Rotate this maybe 90 degrees, tighten it back up again. And apparently the way to do this is to simply grab the wheel and snug this up. It doesn't have to be brutally tight, just snugged up. Let's try that. Let's see if this is better or worse. Seems to be pretty good as well. If you have a problem where the machine is unbalanced and walking all over, you might try that trick, the trick where you turn the buffing wheel. You could also do the same thing by turning the other end, the grinding wheel. Now the grinding wheel, to do that, to turn it, let's say 90 degrees on the shaft, you have to take this cover off. And there's a nut, and it's a left-hand threaded nut, so it loosens clockwise. So that's one way to do that. Or that's a way to try to get this thing to balance better. The other thing to do is to use a dressing wheel, because this wheel has probably not been dressed. I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a, boy, I don't know where I got this, but this is a probably carbide impregnated stone that's used as a dressing stone. They also make diamond tip dressing stones or dressing tools. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to very slowly work this in back and forth. And my goal is to make this very round. Let's try that. Seem to be fairly nice and round to begin with, but your stone may have a wobble in it. Your stone may not be terrifically round to begin with, so I think a new stone should be dressed. Especially good to do this dressing if you're you're sharpening something and you kind of cut a groove in the stone and you want it flat again. Here's what the wobble in that buffing wheel looks like when you first get it. It's a pretty big wobble. As you use it, you'll wear it away, and I believe you'll make it rounder and rounder. But to get rid of the initial vibration, you may want to turn that wheel, as I discussed earlier. So what I want to do with this side, actually, and the reason I bought this is I want to put this on it. This is a wire wheel that I got also from Harbor Freight. This is about $10, I think. And I'm going to put this here. I'm not terribly interested in this for buffing and grinding so much as I am for wire wheel work. So off this comes, that comes off that way. And then this goes on, should go on like so. Yeah. A little plastic guys coming out. I want to make sure I get that plastic collar all the way in. This goes on, once again, clockwise. And I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to use a glove to hold the wheel and just give it a snug. Apparently you don't have to really over tighten this or really tighten it, because as the tool works it will maintain the tightness of that. So let's try that again. It's to be working well. Not really having any problem with it. Now I've had this 8-inch bench grinder / buffer for a year and a half now, and I've used it a number of times and I am pleased with it. I think it's a good piece of equipment. Here's me working on some rocket stoves with it. So what do I think of the Central Machinery 8-inch bench grinder buffer from Harbor Freight? Well, for $65 plus $10 for the wire wheel, I think it's a good deal. It's definitely got more power than my ancient 6-inch grinder. It's an 8-inch. But I don't think it has a lot of power. If you're really going to do a lot of serious industrial paint removal, paint stripping, let's say over here you're going to put a flap wheel, I feel like this thing does not have 3/4 of a horsepower. I feel like it has maybe half of that. It's still powerful, but it's not as powerful as I would like. So I'm going to keep it. I think it's a good tool, but if I ever have to do a lot, I might consider buying a one with more power. And that's kind of where I am now.